Negotiators from the U.S., Israel, and Hamas began a series of indirect meetings in Cairo, Egypt today to discuss President Trump's proposed Gaza ceasefire and hostage release plan. Hamas agreed to portions of the plan on Friday, including the release of all hostages being held in Gaza. That would be in exchange for the release of 250 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences and 1,700 Gazan detainees. Following the response from Hamas, President Trump urged Israel to cut back its advance in Gaza. However, journalists on the ground there, they are saying a new round of ongoing airstrikes started on Saturday. And speaking to CBS's Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation yesterday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the release of the hostages from Gaza is the, quote, most emergent and immediate phase of this proposed plan.
We want to get the hostages out as soon as possible. For that to happen, there can't be a war going on in the middle of it, and Hamas has to agree to turn them over, and we have to have the right people go in and get them. That's what we're going to focus on right now.
The CBS News international reporter Haley Ott has more on these ongoing negotiations.
Indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas have begun in Egypt over a 20-point peace plan that the White House hopes will bring an end to the war in Gaza. The mood in Israel today, extremely cautious optimism that a hostage and prisoner exchange could be agreed, which would see the release of all the remaining hostages, both alive and dead. But there have been ceasefire proposals before that have fallen through, so people here are reluctant to get their hopes up. Coming up to 2 years since the October 7th attack, there's a real sense of urgency here to get the remaining hostages home. In the meantime, the fighting in Gaza continues. We were near the border with Gaza yesterday and heard and felt a number of large explosions there. And our sources say while there have been fewer strikes since the peace proposal was announced, strikes are continuing. At least 24 people have been killed in Gaza in the last day, according to health officials there. An Israeli government spokesperson said that while certain kinds of bombings had stopped ahead of the negotiations in Egypt, there currently is no ceasefire in Gaza. Back to you.
All right, Haley Ott, thank you. And CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us now. Sam, thanks for being with us here. So, as you heard Haley talk about there, these talks in Cairo, they're coming as fighting does continue in Gaza. Even logistically, is it possible to release any hostages there while Gaza is still an active combat zone? What steps need to be taken here?
Well, a ceasefire is really important for two reasons when it comes to the release of the hostages. The first is that Israel stopping its bombardment of Gaza will be viewed by Hamas as a sign of good faith. And Hamas will, at least for this first phase of the 20-point peace plan, think that Israel is committed to keeping its word, and therefore Hamas would likely be more inclined to release hostages. From a logistical standpoint, it is virtually impossible or very difficult to get hostages out of wherever they're being hidden, in tunnels, in homes, buried beneath the ground, getting them into safe hands and into medical care. So both in terms of the actual security of the hostages as well as Hamas's faith that Israel's committed to this process, a ceasefire is critically important.
So, Sam, as you well know, a key sticking point here is the disarming of Hamas. Hamas has previously refused to give up its weapons, saying it would only do so once a Palestinian state has been established. But over the weekend, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that, quote, Hamas will be disarmed and Gaza will be demilitarized, either the easy way or the hard way. Is there any wiggle room here?
Well, it's interesting because Hamas without arms isn't really Hamas. You look back at their charter from, I believe, 1988, and Hamas says that the only way to accomplish their core objective, which is to destroy the state of Israel, is through jihad, not through negotiations, not through anything else, but through armed jihad. So if Hamas does give up its weapons, it will, in effect, cease to exist. Now, Hamas does have a military arm and a political arm, and if President Trump's peace plan is effective and eventually Hamas does agree to disarm, then we could see a new phase of the organization that is focused on politics and not military engagements. But that is a very, very long way off and would be a real identity crisis for the terrorist organization.
Plenty more to come. Sam Vinograd, thank you.